You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the June 8th meeting of the Michigan City Board of Aviation Commissioners. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
To order the Board of Aviation Commissioners monthly meeting agenda, June 8th at 1 p.m. Members present, we have Kurt Hunter, T.Y. Okeson, myself, Jeff Bartlett. Others present, Michigan City Airport Manager Jessica Ward, and we have from BF&S Andrew Maximovich. Members absent, Greg Poulin. We do have a quorum. Reading of the minutes, the April 13th, 2023 regular meeting. Did we get a chance to review those?
Yeah, I did.
Do we have a motion to accept?
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approves. Reports financial for June 2023. Yeah, what about, what about May, since we skipped that one? Do we have,
Oh, I can do May too. I usually just update like this for each month, but I can print you out a May report too if you want to see, because I do one of these for every month.
okay, that's fine. We can do the June 2023 account balances. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, you all have current account balances. Hopefully you guys, everybody has one. They're looking good. No major changes from the April report, actually, for our operational budget standpoint. We did, at the bottom, you see our encumbrances. We have the hangar lights. That was closed with this claims docket. The hangar light installation was complete in April, but finally billed and paid. And also the raise grant, we did a draw on that. If you saw in your, the marketing plan that we have, in airport development, we'll talk about that a little bit later. That came out of the raise grant funds that the board approved to spend that on. And they also did the BCA, which also came out of that. That was a total of $1,600 for both of those. But we still have $13,840 in there. If we need to update the marketing plan or make any changes or anything like that, we still have money available in that encumbrance to use for it. Our SRE building, we did a draw for $153,615 on payment number 2 for this claims docket. So that leaves us with $168,132.50 available. And we also have the bill money. The bill funds aren't on here. This is just my encumbrance from 2022 for city funds. So we also have that money available because, as you'll see, their balance to finish, including the retainage, is $336,519.55. And that also includes the retainage too, so.
Other than this, the raise grant, when do we get that?
So it was just, we called it a raise, we didn't get the raise grant. We were going to apply for the raise grant.
Right.
And then we wanted to do the BCA first to see how it was gonna fall, so we did that. And then we turned it into our marketing plan. And so then now we have this new pretty marketing plan that's in everybody's folders that I sent around by email. So everybody has that, and so we're gonna use that to solicit, you know what I mean, kind of solicit like anybody who wants to hear us say, this is the project we need done in Michigan City, so.
Okay.
And that's what we're gonna use for that.
Excellent. Have you talked to those people regarding the building? They're on schedule? Are they those?
Yeah.
Nice.
They're on schedule. They send us new pictures every time. They have this really cool app that you use, and you can like log in and see like, you know, everything that they've been doing and,
nice.
and where they're at. And we approve change orders right in the app and stuff, so it's so great. I wish everybody would get that
Yeah,
app.
it's amazing.
It is really
Save a lot
good.
of time.
So yeah, Paul and I can just look and approve things and whatever.
Nice.
So we got windows coming then?
I know, right? Yeah. It's so funny because it was like, afterwards, we were just looking at it and we're like, wow, that's a big building with no windows, you know? But Kirk was saying, he's like, just for even like heating and cooling, you know, heating costs and stuff like that, it's better when you don't have the windows or whatever. And
To make a really good, you need a lot of windows to really make a different ambiance in there,
Yeah.
if you will. So really, you know, windows are, you know, in a building like that where people are just gonna hang around, it's a lot of maintenance.
yeah, that's right.
I mean, in any house you buy, what's the first thing that you have to replace? Windows.
Right.
You know, that's just what it is.
And I think there's only 2 buildings out here that even have windows. You know what I mean? All the rest of them are just buildings with windows.
I bet with all the new LED lights in there, it's
Yeah.
gonna be super bright in there.
Yeah.
So.
So yeah, that's our account balances.
Nice. May 2023 fuel sales.
Sure. Overall, we sold 2,059.6 gallons of hard low lead, 2,118.8 gallons of Jet A, and 738.8 gallons of Swift fuel in May. Our tank only holds 1,000 gallons, so 700 gallons in 1 month is huge.
That's great.
Huge.
Swift?
Our current fuel prices are $5.16 for self-service avgas, $5.36 for full-service avgas, $4.78 for self and full-service Jet A, and $6.45 for self-service UL 94. Our self-service avgas pump was back up on May 21st. And so in just that short window in May, if you look at our self-service, we sold 569.7 gallons of self-service just in that tiny window that it was open in May. So that is
Fantastic.
impressive.
Yeah, it's great news.
So there's that. Oh, and I did add, if you see 05C on the bottom, I added Griffith Maryville Airport to it, just because they also carry UL 94, and I get questions all the time of like, do you know how much the closest airport to us that has, Swift fuel, how much it costs? So I added them so you guys can always see kind of the other airport. They're the only ones within 100 miles that I know of that have Swift fuel.
Right.
And so it's
Pretty good
709
difference.
there,
It's great
yeah,
for
and
us.
it's 645 here, so.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, airport manager for self-service fuel pump repair update.
Yes, the self-service suction arm fuel repair was completed. May 21st is when we first got it back. Dewatering was needed for the project. So we had to submit water samples, received a permit from the sanitary district for the temporary discharge to our sanitary sewer that's located on site. We didn't need water treatment after the samples came back. The cost was an additional $1,818.20, which was really good compared to what it could have been, remember, on that additional amount?
Yeah, we had a little bit that was allocated.
Yes.
for-
Yeah, and that was for water analysis, labor to pull the sampling and to deliver them to the lab, and the water pump rental. So that was all included in the $1,818.20. But we do have an issue still with the pump. It's still not holding its prime. So it's not the suction arm. They know for a fact that that was bad, and they repaired that, so they know that it isn't the suction arm anymore. They replaced the check valve. So before we used to have a check valve that had a flap, and now they only make the check valves that have a ball. So now it's like a ball check valve. They don't know if that's what the problem is, because they can't get the flap ones anymore, and that's what used to be on it. So they're doing research on that. So currently we are offering it. I have not told tenants that it's available, because they know. I've been telling them. I haven't sent out like a massive email to tenants, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I like to be here when, they come up, but I have let everybody know that I have talked to. We have a slight issue. There's no norm saying that it's out, because it works. But it's really strange because, so somebody will pull it out. And so we've been coming in the morning. The first thing we do is we run fuel to the holding tank. You gotta pull the hose all the way out, go around to that little holding tank in the back, run the fuel, and if it isn't, primed, it doesn't get the fuel. Then if you go behind the cabinet, there's like the valve that you do for checking for water. If you just open that valve into like a white bucket to check for water, all of a sudden it just will work. And so it's that small of a fix, but it's not like you can't expect like transit pilots to come over, open a valve, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like when we're here. So I would say a good, at least 80% of the time, it's working perfect. I always go out there every time I see somebody using it right from the beginning, because pilots, when you're out there from the beginning, they're so happy that you're there to help them, you know what I mean, and whatever. But if you go out after they're trying to use it and it doesn't work, they're more annoyed, of course. It's more of an annoyance. And
Should we put something, maybe a note out there for self-service is available during normal working hours?
well,
or-
so we've been also doing the prime issue. We've also been doing that before we leave to
Okay.
make sure it's working. So there hasn't been a time yet that somebody has used it after hours and it hasn't worked.
Good, not gonna-
It's only happened because we can see on our cameras. I can see people over the self-service. You can tell, you can tell if, they're having issues or whatever. There's not been a time yet that there's been an issue like after hours, because we make sure that it's working perfect right before we leave, you know what I mean, at
Yeah.
5. And it's not like people are usually using it like 1 in the morning,
Craziness.
So it's like from 5 to 7 or 8, like it works just fine.
Okay.
But it's just so random. So they're researching it, they're trying to figure out what it is, they're trying to fix it. So I just got their invoice and I haven't paid it yet, because it's still the same issue that we had. I mean,
Right, so,
if it's not working, I don't know how we're gonna kind of work with that, so we'll have to figure that out, but, so that's the thing. So I would say, I mean, this morning, I had a person come out and use it and it worked just fine. First thing this morning. The second guy that went out to use it was like maybe 2 hours after the first person, it wouldn't work and I had to go out and, do the little thing.
so what is the scary question would be, what if we had to replace that pump?
I don't know if that would even be like economical. I don't know.
Okay.
Just because we're looking at the above ground fuel tanks.
Right.
I mean, I don't know, I'm not sure, but those are like, I know they're like 9 or 10 months like on order. Usually it takes about, and this was before when Paul was telling us, it was like the 9 to 10 months it would take after you put an order for them for them to even be here. So I mean, we could be, it's like, we have to figure out what's worth it for like that year that we wouldn't have the self-service available.
We have the funds for those though?
We do have the funds. The council has approved the funds for the above ground fuel tank, but they gave us all the money up front, knowing that we were gonna reimburse them with the bill funds. Do you remember that whole conversation? We've been talking about it for a couple months. So, we were supposed to reimburse them with the bill funds. Well, the only part that is eligible for the bill funds is the amount, like, the larger the tank is from ours.
Difference in capacity.
Yeah, like the capacity difference,
So
is
it
the only
translates
thing
into like
eligible.
30% eligible.
Okay.
Oh, that's what we were discussing, all that.
Correct.
Well, how do they calculate that? Okay, so you got a tank that's worth $10,000 and
It's gallons.
Gallons, yeah.
They calculate it by gallons.
Oh,
So
okay.
our tank,
All right,
Yeah.
so we get 20% more, but the cost is 10,000 for the tank, so they're gonna only cover 20% of that, the cost of that tank.
Yeah. Yeah, so they've got eligibility rules, and sometimes it's left to the interpretation of the ADO. And so we've been trying to get a clear-cut answer on that. But they came back with an answer and said roughly 30%, so that's kind of the conversation. And then they won't pay to remove the old tank. It's just off the table.
Well,
And
So-
maintenance typically falls on your shoulders, so they won't pay for ongoing maintenance either.
Sure, okay.
so the thing is, like, with the above ground tanks, so the council has given us $800,000 for the above ground tanks, but they know that they're gonna get paid back, except for our local match for the bill funds. They were getting paid back everything else but our local match. So now we're gonna have to go back to them, and we're gonna, have to go to the mayor and the controller first. We're having a sit-down meeting. Paul and, whoever else comes from BFNS and I are gonna sit down with them, let them know the options, because we're gonna have the meeting already, but we were waiting to see if the state actually implemented that 50/50. Remember they used to have that 50/50 grant match program? It was like way back in the day.
5%?
Paul's been talking about it forever. It was a
It's a
50/50,
50-50 share.
yes, share match, state and local, and they haven't had it for years. Well, this year they tried to get them they put it back on the table, and it was approved. So we were waiting to see if that made it through the cycle, and we were waiting to see if it was approved, because if it was, this is actually a project that we could put in for that too. So we need to go back to the city and let the mayor and the controller know, if we put in and we get this grant, this is how much the city's gonna have to pay for it. Or if we put in and we use the bill money, this is how much the city's gonna have to put in for it. And see which way they want us to go back to the council and, let the council know, is this still a possibility? But we can't spend the money and get the above ground fuel tanks if we know that we can't pay them back like we said we were going to. We have to go back to them and let them know that that's not the option. So now that we know that they have the 50/50 back, we'll be able to apply for that grant, and we also can still apply for the bill and know that we're only gonna get 30% of the increased size of the tank.
Okay.
I hope that answered all your questions,
Well, that sucks.
right?
It's always something.
It is.
Because that won't cover much.
No. But at least we have the 50/50 back, so at least,
Yeah.
so it could just be that very small problem with that bulb.
Yes.
Just, you
That's
know,
why
so-
we're researching
You know, so
it.
that thing is gravity control, right?
Mhm.
So it seems like sometimes it just
It's hanging up.
sticks, and when you open that valve, it So,
And they were gonna call like a couple of other companies that also do this kind of work and just get their input, like what they think they can do, because they've done everything that they know personally, like what to do, like, or you know what else it could be? It could be something stuck like in the check valve, because the thing is they have all those little pebbles and all that stuff around all that they have to do, so something could have gotten like stuck in there, or you know, and so that's a possibility too. So they still know it's a problem. They're actively looking for a solution and they're working on it. They were just out here last week, so they're really looking into it and working on it. But the craziest thing too is the whole first week, or I would even say the first, I would say week and a half that we had it, like from May 21st, there were no issues at all. It was like, it was running perfect every time, no issues at all. And then all of a sudden there was an issue. And we're like, what's going on? It was Memorial Day weekend. That's when our first issue was with it, was over Memorial Day weekend.
Is it maybe a temperature issue? Is a pipe heating up and it's evaporating and drying the line?
I don't know. I
Is
just.
that part in the sun?
No, it's all underground, so everything's.
Well, I mean, we could have, it could be a bad check valve. I mean,
But they
just because
just
it's brand new
replaced it.
doesn't mean anything.
When it was messing up over Memorial Day weekend, that's the first thing they did was replace the check valve.
okay, so it still continues to do it?
Correct.
So that's not the issue then.
And but they couldn't put the flat check valve on, they had to put a ball check valve on, so that's new. It's a new check valve, so they thought maybe it's the type of check valve that they're using that's the problem.
It could be, since there are two different check valves now. They don't agree with each other.
Yeah. Is there a way you can convince them to try the old one to see?
Well, the old one didn't work, there was something wrong with it, yeah.
Okay, so,
So that's why they had to replace that.
Oh.
So when they took it out, you can tell, you know what I mean, it wasn't closing all the way, like the flap wasn't closing. So they knew they needed a new check valve, but they couldn't get the flap valve anymore. They could only get a ball valve. And so that's what they have. So they're researching to find out if there's another place you can get a flap valve. They can't.
Probably because they knew the old flat valves wasn't working anymore. So that's why they went to the ball.
Oh, yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Right? So yeah, so they're actively looking.
All right.
But it's a bummer because we were just, that first week, we were like, yes! You know,
Back in
like,
action.
Man.
All right, well, thanks. I know we're still working on it. All right, Fly Saga 2022 report. Nice report I saw by them.
Yeah, sent our annual report.
Doing a great job with new aircraft and
32
Student
renters or students, 7 instructors, 39 active pilots.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
fantastic.
they got to get 39?
39. Yep. 340 hours flown, 248 total flights, and this was in 2022, and they're definitely up this year compared. They're well ahead, it says, of 2022, and he's always been telling me that in the first 4 months.
And they're still happy with the situation with running the hangar
Yeah.
and everything? Fantastic.
They wish that they had another hangar, of
Yeah.
course. Like they need two, because, you know, he loves like more aircraft and having more things available.
But, so this data could be problematic though. So you say 39 active pilots. That does not mean that, it doesn't tell me anything, right? So active pilot means what? Are they active pilots?
32
Or
of
are they
them?
actively renting the airplane?
Yeah, 32 of them are renters or students, and then 7 are instructors.
Okay.
Yep.
Because that would mean that, because I'm here most of the evenings, that would mean that from morning till 8, 9 in the evening, that airplane will be up and down, up and down, up
So
and down.
funny you say that, because you know, the last time that I was just out here, I did an have you ever heard of like, it's called 48N48? It's like a pilot thing. If you look it up, like write it down and look it up, because it's really cool. But it's 48 and then N
Okay.
and then 48, so not N in the front. So it's just 48N48.com. If you look that up, it's an organization, they came together, they were trying to do a Guinness Book of World Records. They wanted to fly 48 states in 48 hours, which is where they got that. And they raise money for veterans that need like medical care, like combat veterans. They raise money for flight for their, you know, for free flights to wherever they need to. And they just got back, they just did it, and they completed it before 48 hours, so they got the Guinness Book of World Records. We were their first stop. So they called me and they're like, can we please come out there at like 10 o'clock at night, and we just need somebody to sign our, thing, take a picture with the airplane, whatever. I'm like, sure, I'll be here. And so I showed up for that, and when I showed up, 2 of their flight school airplanes were up flying, and it was at 10 at night.
It's night flying.
And they were doing night flying, because it was funny, because I'm like, who the heck is flying around right now? Because of course they're trying to like beat the clock, you know what I mean, and get in. And they're like, do you mind if we like come in and, you know what I mean, kind of ahead of you in the pattern? We really gotta get in and out. And so who would have thought? 2 airplanes are up in the air, they're trying to like land
So
it.
this is 2022 though? This is.
Yes, that was
We don't
2022.
have, because it seems a little more active in 2023 than 2020.
This year is, yeah. In the 4 months, he said in the 4 months so far, they're already well ahead of 2022 for the first 4
That
months.
seems more.
Yeah, so he's estimating more than 500 hours in 2023.
It's good, because that's still kind of like COVID back then. They're just starting to recover from COVID. People figure out what to do.
All right.
So yeah, that's very cool. Also, he did request using the conference room once a month for Dr. Holm to do pilot medicals, as well as the possibility of getting a DP in to do the exams in the terminal building, because now his students have to fly to another airport for the check rides, and if the examiner could come here, then they could do it all here. So I told him, of course, he can use the conference room for
Yeah, I agree.
doing the exams, and we have like even just one of the 2 rooms back there, you can just put on there, clothes. I mean, he's only going to use it for a couple exams or whatever, and they can get their medicals right in here, and I think that's awesome. So I told them yes.
Anything to draw business away from Valpo or
They can-
any other big cities.
Absolutely use the terminal.
Absolutely.
Run Valpo down to you, man. So they in Valpo, man. That's where I trained, so.
No, we're trying to make this the area, you know what I mean?
Wow, yeah.
So yeah, flight. So they're doing good, really good, and I'm excited to add that to people to be able to come in. He said that he has a couple students, 3 to 4 students are going to be ready for check rides this summer.
That's good. That's good.
Excellent.
So yeah, that's that.
Okay, airport development.
Yeah, we touched on a number of items here, but we do have one action item that would be to approve that pay application 2 for new tech in the amount of $153,615. Looks like, construction began April 3rd. The substantial completion date's September 30th. The only item Paul noted was light poles being omitted for the time being in favor of installing floor drains.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to approve that pay request.
This was,
Yeah, it's attached, the
Page 2.
153,615.
So the motion is for 153,615, right?
Correct.
So, okay, I made that motion to approve.
I second.
second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Like Jessica mentioned, Katie did a great job of putting together a bunch of bits of information for a marketing piece for you guys. We need your feedback on this. If you have any additions, corrections, or any other thoughts, so please take some time to read through it, see if it all makes sense. And then this is going to be used to market to whoever will listen, legislators, congressional delegation, EDCs or council, county, whoever will listen. It's got all the information about the project. We did submit for supplemental. I will mention that. We've not heard anything about that, but that's typically later in the year. We'll hear who's been selected or how it's been allocated. The other thing Paul mentioned was pretty soon we're going to be addressing the Air 21 funding bill, which hasn't been touched in years and years. And so it's not out of the question to, if you're talking to the congressional folks, to push for a line item. I mean, that's happened. There have been plenty of airports that have had that. And this is a good project because it deconflicts your runway and the surrounding roads. So give us feedback, see what you think, and then probably at some point set up a meeting with the council first. Start there, tell them what you're all about, and keep tooting that horn.
Toot toot. And Bill Nelson has been working on the land swap. He's been working actively, yeah, with Paul and our city, and everybody's been working together on that. So it looks like they're waiting on Skylar to kind of give some answers on if we can do the administrative sub, and if we can, that's gonna be way easier on everybody's part. So things are moving in that too. And I don't think Paul wrote it in here.
Land swap, is that
For the RL roofing, yep.
Excellent.
The only other item we touched on a little bit was your fuel farm, so at some point, we need to circle back around with their city council and explain, once we know all these funding mechanisms and eligibility questions.
Yeah.
Paul was saying that some of those items he had on there were estimates, may not be as high as
Okay.
what he had, so really don't know until you put this thing out to bid, and sometimes you're surprised, so.
Okay.
Either way, sometimes you're surprised,
Yeah.
up or down.
That's true.
Well, if it takes 8 to 10 months lead time to get the tanks, shouldn't we be ordering them now?
Yeah, but we can't until we know, the council knows they're not gonna get the full money back for it. And we couldn't tell them how much they were gonna get back for it until we knew if that 50-50 program with the state was gonna pass. So we can apply for that. So then we can give them the information, we can apply for this, or we can use this. This is how much the city's gonna pay for this is how much they would pay for this, and then they can make the decision whether they'll do either of those things or none of them.
Is that something we can find out in the next month or two?
Yeah, we're gonna have a meeting, yep, scheduled,
Perfect,
so,
all right.
Yep.
So then we'll know the answer by then, and we'll have to make a decision for it.
Yeah, we have them on site here, you know, we got, heck, here they are, gotta use them.
Right. All right. Thank
That's all I
you.
had, Jeff, thank you.
Thank you. Old business?
None?
None. New business, this is the sale of hangar A5-14, BYC right of
Yes.
first refusal.
I sent everybody the letter that I got. Where did I put it?
Yes.
Everybody have one with me? Good. Okay. So that letter, it states that, can I use yours?
Yes.
Because I'm missing mine. It states that, as per our lease agreement, I'm notifying you and the Board of Aviation Commissioners of my intent to sell hangar A514 located at Michigan City Airport. I plan to sell the hangar to Darren Kern for the price of $200,000. So he's just offering it to the board for right of first refusal, as he has to, and then if the board does not, want to buy the hangar, then I have the lease drawn up for Hearn Enterprises, and I got all that taken care of already. So we have all that available as
Who's
well.
Darren?
So Darren Hearn is a gentleman that's taking flight lessons at Flight Saga. He's ready to solo. He wants to buy a Cirrus. And Dan is selling him the hangar with all the planes in it. It's got 3 aircraft in there. 1 is not airworthy, 2 just need annuals and they'll be airworthy. It has a Navajo and an Arrow, a Piper Arrow in there. So he's planning on Cirrus, of course, like when you go right from like getting your private pilot's license to getting a Cirrus, insurance is like crazy. So instead he's gonna fly the Arrow around while he's looking for Cirrus and stuff, just like build hours in the Arrow that's in there, and then he is going to purchase the Cirrus. He wants to go he was trying to go right from getting his private pilot's license to getting like a small jet. He's a go-getter, I'll tell you that guy. But super nice guy, comes in all the time. He's here, flies all the time, soloing. He's flying with Tom. Tom is very reserved when it comes to letting people go up for their solos and stuff. So of course Darren's like, I've been ready, and Tom's making sure, and so, but he's a,
Okay.
he's around for
So
a
how
while.
does that work with us, that we have the first right of refusal for a hangar, but now you've got goods?
Yeah, it wouldn't be included in our hangar set, because we don't want any of the goods.
Correct, so what would be the price then?
$200,000 is for just the hangar, no goods.
Okay,
They have-
all right.
They have it separated
When you were
out.
describing it, I was like, oh, I don't see
Yes.
airplanes in there.
Yes,
Okay, all
they
right.
have it separated out to where this is just for the hangar.
Okay, all
And it's
right.
going before the board for
I was like, man,
$200,000.
that's a good,
Same
get
as
some
what
airplanes
he's
in
selling,
there. and,
right? Same as what he's selling to
Okay.
Amazon.
Well, even with everything, wasn't it 250?
No, I didn't have that everything. I wrote everything in there, and that's when he told me this is just for the building alone. This is not for,
Okay.
they were like, it's a separate piece of the purchase.
Well, as much as I'd like to have more hangars, we just don't have the funds that I see. We've got a lot of other priorities on the table right now. So, is there a motion out there
Yes.
for first refusal for not purchasing hangar
I'm
A5-14?
gonna make that motion to refuse to purchase the hangar.
Is there a second?
I second.
Are there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, new land lease request for hangar A5-14.
Yes. You want this back? I want this. Okay, so the new land lease I sent everybody, it was really late because I finally got the documents from him. I told him I wasn't gonna bring it before the board without this little certificate of good standing. We need to have that this enterprise, Hearn Enterprises, his last name's Hearn, that they are in good standing with the state of Michigan. And they are, before we can do it, they have 2 members in their LLC. Yep, it's him and his wife, I think it's Marina, I believe her name's
Yes,
Marina.
it is.
Him and his wife are on it, so they'll both sign as personal guarantors. We're using the new aircraft land storage lease that we have, that Bill made as soon as we started doing the corporations and LLCs and stuff. So they sign as personal guarantors at the end. This is our typical normal land lease that has been approved by the board for use. And their agreement would start, I put in here June 9th. I don't know if for sure it's gonna start June 9th. That's just when they're supposed to meet tomorrow to sign the paperwork if the board, refused the hangar. And so that date might change on the land lease. Whatever the purchase agreement date is what I'll put on there. I can't start a land lease with them before he owns the hangar.
So it'll need approval on the land.
I do. I need you guys to approve a new land lease for A514 for Hearn Enterprises. The land lease has been paid this year, because of course, Dan just paid it, so it's been paid this year. And they have mowing service, so we'll continue to mow it for this season. And then after that, it's on Darren next year to either pay for mowing if he wants us to continue mowing the hangar, and then he's gonna pay for his new land lease then. So that's also in their purchase agreement, that it's already been paid for this year.
I move we approve the new land lease to the Hearns.
Second.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, Jessica. That completes new business. Claims docket.
Before the claims docket, can I say something?
Absolutely.
The target hangers on my side, the areas.
Whose name?
The taggart.
Toe Taggart, yeah.
Yep, I think you and Rudy probably need to take a look at the pavement there. They're literally collapsing in.
Is it the pavement on their ramps? Because they put in their own ramp.
Yeah, well, not the taxiway, but the
Okay.
yeah. So I'm just asking, like, what happens? What do we do with that? Because it looks like it's getting really bad.
So we would reach out, I would reach out to Taggart, the owner, which is Taggart LLC or
Okay.
whatever their corporation is. I would reach out to them and let them know that it just needs to be repaired. And it's in their land lease that they need to keep up, all the
Yeah.
maintenance on that.
Okay.
But yeah, if it's the ramp that they have to put in the ramp, the only thing we take care of is the taxiway.
Yeah.
There has been a time before with Dale Phillips, kind of right before one of his hangars, that there's like that sewer grate. Remember that sewer grate was like kind of on our taxiway and his ramp. It was kind of both. So we put in 50-50 for that. But we only do that if it's like airport improvement also with their improvement, you know what I mean? So it would be their responsibility to get an estimate and come out and have it repaired. So I will definitely reach out to them.
Sounds good, thank you.
What's with the NIPSCO, $2,285?
Yeah, that's for 2 months. That's for two payments. That's typical of summer,
Yeah.
cooling here.
That concrete, is it just sinking or is it breaking apart and cracking?
I don't know. I think it's the geology of the soil, and I don't know what's going on. I mean, the stuff is just depressing, and the concrete is going down, and it's just undulating. So
I'll go look with you afterwards.
Yeah.
Take a look at it. I can see it and see what you're talking about.
okay. Yeah.
You afraid it's gonna swallow you up?
Well, I don't know, I mean,
Could.
but it's just not aesthetically pleasing. I mean, when you know,
Maybe it's something they can inject bullet holes in
Concrete
it.
pumping.
Yes,
yeah, and
exactly.
then just kind of raise it and level them all out.
Maybe a road or something got underneath there and started to create some tunnels. All right. Claims docket, ever get a chance to see that? We'll sign that right now. Is there a motion to accept the claims docket for June 8th, 2023 for a total of
Everybody
$19,000?
look at it. I don't have any other questions. I move we accept the claims docket as written.
Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. Anything from
I put down TY's stuff right there for public comment.
Oh, perfect, okay. All right, well, that completes that. Do I have a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
I do make that motion for us to adjourn.
Do I second the motion?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for today.